Shall flow rivers of living waters. We want to bring water to him. Out of my belly shall flow rivers, my God. Let's go back to verse 15 of 2 Samuel chapter 23. I will start rounding up now. If we don't set these coordinates right, we might miss it. Maybe we need to wait for next year when Tio will come. And if we're going to wait for next year again, this is a waste of resources. Because on this mountain, God wants to judge. God wants to make men vessels that can be carriers. Look at verse 15. And David longed and said, oh, that one would give me. Mark the word. If the Bible is your own, mark the word, give me. Anytime you are going to labor for revival, your prayer will not be give you. The prayer will be give me. You need to change. You know, they look alike. Give me, give you. If we are going to bring revival, the approach, whether by message, whether by prayer, whether by laboring, will be him. The king said, give me. He sent 3 men on a dangerous mission just to satisfy himself. That must have been one of the selfish requests of the century. You want this man to go and die in the hand of the Philistines because you want to satisfy yourself. Because of revival, that will be the case. That you are going to be the one to go out of the stage for the king to take. All this while you have been the taker. All this while you have been a consumer generation. You have been the one receiving. In revival and in bringing water, what you will hear is not give me. What you hear is give the king. So what is the first characteristics of men that can bring revival? They must be selfless men. It must be a selfless generation, because what you are doing is laboring to appease another, laboring to please another, laboring to live like another. And I'm telling you the truth, this is why we are created, and this is why we are conscripted by Jesus. Luke chapter 18 verse 1, he said, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, saying, men ought always to pray and not to faint. Meaning that for Jesus to say men ought always, it means that you were created to be dependent on God. Your dependence is from him. It must be him only. For whatever reason you see yourself in the picture, you cannot be a good laborer of revival. Give me to drink. When last did you, in your prayer request, when I'm checking your prayer request, you know how I know people? I'll say list 7 prayer requests sent to me. I said, you prayed last week? Sir, yes, I prayed. I said, can you just send me 7 things you prayed for? And then they will type it on WhatsApp and send. When I read it, I will know where your heart, your level is. It is when you hear the prayer of a man, you will know his level in the spirit and his stature. And then some people in their prayer request, give me this, give me this. My result, my CGPA has been dropping. My, and even as I stayed there, we cannot get it. That's why when Jesus was teaching prayer, the disciples came to him, teach us to pray. He said, when you pray, say, can we say it, our Father? Everybody say, 1 to go. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Finish. Then number 6. 7. Stop there. You see where, do you see where give me is? Jesus was not saying that is our prayer. Jesus was giving the authority of prayer, the stature of prayer. He's saying that for you to ask for the kingdom, for you to be a prayer warrior, priority of your prayer will be your kingdom, your will. Give me bread is under. So all this thing we go, you see us in stadium. My car. It shows their stature. My house. Can we place where they are praying from now? They are praying from number what? Say the number now. I counted it for us. They are praying from where? So Jesus came and taught the right priority. He said, number one, you come there, understand his fatherhood dimension. You cannot be a strong prayer warrior. You cannot tap into the resources of prayer if you don't understand the fatherhood dimension. Our Father. And then the positioning of that Father, which art in heaven. And then consecration and reverence. Hallowed be your name. If you can complete that three, the next request, all this one to three that I've read now, no request in them. The first request will be thy kingdom. I was lodging in a hotel over here, and it was Sunday morning. A church was beside the hotel, and then I said, okay, since I can't go to church this morning, I'm going back to Port Harcourt. Let me just, as they are preaching, let me be listening and be blessed. All they prayed that day were number 7 prayer. A whole church from morning till 11, 8 in the morning till 11 was, oh Lord, my car. Oh Lord, my car. Like our brother will tell you, see the team we have in our poster, who tied this goat? Who tied? Come to Port Harcourt, that's the flyer. And who tied this goat? Their head, not my head. 7 pathway of, that is the only thing you hear. Let me tell you, as much as and as beautiful as what they are doing is number what? So what we need to do from 7 is to migrate up. Come up until his will becomes my will. So when we sing here and Minister Theo is talking, he's trying to bring you to understand that come out from here and come here. And for us to change over, we need to come here. So the men that will bring revival are men that have understood thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is done in heaven. It is, those were the men. He said, oh, that he didn't say, can you imagine David? What audacity. He didn't say, can we bring water so that all of us can drink? That water is fresh. In fact, the water smells well. The water, I've drank it before. We will drink it together. David said, bring it so that me, I will drink. And Jesus said, give me over so that me, I will drink. He said, give me most state so that me. I know that it's hard for you to understand because self is strong in your life. When the king stands and says, give me, you know why you will fight him? Self. Self will say, why is he selfish? How come it's not me? Give him first. Let's give him. He said, give me, number 1. Number 2, let me not press that so that I can pray. The Bible says, and the 3 mighty men break through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem. Can I tell you something? I know you read this story. When David was looking at that well and the Philistines were garrisoned everywhere, they were even there taunting David. They said, David, you want the water? Come now. They were raising their sword and their spear. You want this water? Come. And David was there looking at it. Do you know that David did not make an advertisement of who should go and bring the water? I know that today you preach Adino the Esnite. You preach Eliezer the son of Dodo. Those men did not just put their name in history. It was because they responded to a cry that had no name. This cry has no name. So that shows us that we are not living in the age of superstar. This cry, and David was not even looking at them. David was looking at the well. And David did not say, Eliezer, come. Who is the other strong person that you have? Shammah, bring Shammah. Which other person is strong that can deal with these guys? Did you hear David do that? We did not even know their name up to this time. It was now when the cry came, the capacities of men were revealed. You might not know your capacity until you respond to a cry. That's what I want to say, number 1. You know, you sit here looking at me. You don't know your capacity in the spirit until you respond to a cry. It is that cry that will reveal that you can be a land taker. You can be a giant slayer. That's number 1. Number 2, no name was attached to that cry. Meaning that the age we live in, it is the age when God will raise nameless people Faceless people. Men you do not know. Even that person sitting beside you. In another 3 years, if she continues what she's doing, one day you are going to see her doing exploits. You ask yourself why. She will tell you it was that day that Bonky came. I was there when Bonky came. And then as Bonky was praying, my heart was stirred. Let me tell you the truth. When the angel normally comes and stirs the waters, the angel does not need to carry people into the pool. The work of the angel is to descend and stir the waters, and then he will step aside. It is men that will now begin to navigate. Those whose legs are weak, those whose liver is cut, they will find a way. Even if they have to tumble, they will tumble and roll inside. That was what happened here. David did not attach a name. So when the king is saying, I need water, if only 2 people here can step out from the shadows, you are not, let me tell you the truth, nobody will pray your prayer for you. Nobody will sing your song for you. We can do the same thing together. The outcome might be different. Are you hearing me? We can gather in the same place. The outcome might be different. So I don't want you to look down on yourself and say, even me. Because in that request, no name was attached to it. Up to that point, we did not know who Adino was. Up to that point, we don't know who Eliezer was. Shammah, we did not know them. But immediately a cry came. Capacities were revealed. You don't know your capacity until you begin to respond to the cry. So number 1, selfless people. Number 2, men that will respond to a cry. So in this conference, what God is releasing is a cry. In this program, God is releasing a cry. The question is that we are plenty here. I think looking at the audience, we can be maybe 200, 250, 300, 400. But the people that will press in are few. Because I think that when he made that cry, Adino was in the crowd. There were 400. There were 37. Adino was also one of the people in the crowd. And as he heard the cry of the master, oh! Adino said, no, let me begin to navigate. He came out from, all of a sudden, Eliezer. What will you do with this conference? That's what I want to ask you. You came to see Theo. Tomorrow, see him well. Snap picture. Go back to your house. And let's continue the way we are. But what we came here to do is so that out of the lot, the king has made a cry. Somebody needs to present, sir. Another person stirred with the heart of God. Eliezer, the son of Dodo. We never knew he was a mighty man until the other guy, what's his name? The son of Aji. Shammah. They did not take permission from David. And they moved into the garrison of 5,000 people. I can imagine how 3 people are fighting 5,000, 12,000. It means that as one is going with a cup, they went with a cup, they didn't go empty-handed. So they went with a cup with their weapons. So while one is pushing, the other 2 is defending. So the other 2 is slaying. That one is pushing. The other 2 is ensuring that nothing touches him. Then when he gets tired, this one having cup will hand over and then start defending. They kept doing that until they neared the well and got the water. Let me tell you, you can imprint. God does not need superstars. He doesn't need one big prophet somewhere. It's good they have, but for God to raise you, you need to step out and say, Lord, I'm the one. Lord, I'm the one. When Smith Wigglesworth was praying in his room, and then he prayed until his knees put holes in the floor, the wooden floor of his house. Years later, Billy Graham was coming to do excursion and saw 2 holes in the ground. There were other children that came for that excursion. Other children came, and their teacher said this was where Smith Wigglesworth prayed. And those things you see on the ground, they are his knees praying. Everybody say, oh. All the children say, oh, that's exciting. And then the teacher said, okay, can we go and check the other room? As they were trying to go out, Billy Graham was stuck with those 2 legs. He couldn't leave. He now went there and put his 2 knees inside where the man prayed, lifted up his eyes to heaven. He said, Lord, if you can't, do it again. Now listen. Now the other children said, oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. And then they went with the teacher. That's what I'm telling you. I didn't know them didn't go with the teacher. They stepped out. You can step out. You can find God and begin to navigate. You can go back today and say, Lord, consecration me and you. I start 100 days prayer and fast with you. Minister is here. Richie. Tony is 100 days of prayer and fasting. You might not see him. You might not see where he hides. But very soon, what you will hear is Adino the Earth Night. That's how men that you're hearing today, that's how they made it. I told them last week, I told them that fire is not that one that burns. Fire is just a combustion process. A combustion of hydrocarbons and some things. It is the burning that is the fire. What you touch that burns you is the flame. That's why the Bible says he maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flame of fire. If actually you burn in the secret, we should touch the flame. Are you here now? So when you next time when you look at fire, it's not because it burns you that is fire. It's because some hydrocarbons were melting. A lot of chemical process in the background. Wood was burning, giving out, touching hydrocarbons, oxygen, everything mixing up. Then it brings a flame. Adino stepped out. Billy Graham put his knee there. He looked up to heaven. He said, Lord, if you can, do it again. I know you have heard the names of Apostle Aromel, sir. You have heard Edu. You have heard Minister Theophilus Sunday. You have heard Oyo. You have heard Kuhlman. You have heard Benny Hinn. Can you one day kneel and say, Lord, if you can, it pleases you. If it pleases you, do it again. Through me again. That's what Billy did. Billy went there and knelt down. That time he came with those children, he did not know who they were. And as you're seated there looking at me, I may not know you, but I can see a man in the spirit that can kneel down and say, Lord, Lord, Lord. One night I was praying in my house, 4 a.m. I said, Lord, just reveal yourself to me. Show me yourself. And I was praying in my sitting room. And when I pray, I stroll. I just stroll from the dining table side to the parlor side. And I was so tired by 4 a.m. I've been awake for a long time. Then I became tired. Around 3:30 to 4. Suddenly, as I passed the middle of my parlor, a hand touched me and passed. I thought it was my imagination. I said, okay, let me continue. I got to that end. As I was coming again to the middle, the same person, as if he was standing somewhere in the middle, touched me again, as if it was a brush, and passed. That was when I became conscious. I said, somebody's here with me. And I began to sing. As I started singing, that person passed me again. Goosebumps came into my body. I fell under power and I was there till 6 in the morning. Why? Because I told him, can you reveal yourself again to me? It is hunger that brings men to the corridor of encounters. You have no hunger, you do not deserve an encounter. We come here, we try to beg you to build intensity. You can't find Jesus like that. Mary stood without the tomb crying. I will give you the last characteristics of men that can bring water. And that is that when they brought the water back to him and say, O King, we have triumphed. O King, your water is here. I thought he would sit down with his high chair, call a cabinet meeting, and then they will celebrate. The Bible said that David did something. Only the King of Kings deserves to drink from that water. And the Bible says he did what? That's why I say, mark the first word, give me. The second word are nameless and fleshless people. The third one is poured it out. It poured out unto the Lord. Men that can bring that drink are men that can be poured out. I don't know how to explain poured out. Sometimes when I preach and get to a point, I lack words. Poured out. In prayer, when last were you poured out? You see a man who worships and touches God's presence. What he's doing is that in the spirit he's pouring out. He has been poured out. In the place of prayer, Can God come with all your crying, so my life? Can he come and say, let's go on a journey? 20 days fasting, me and you. Can you even start? Many of us start a fast in 3 days, and before evening we have chewed biscuits, and we now remember, hey, you break your fast out of forgetfulness, and you want to journey. You must be a poured out life. God need to pour out flesh. You quote Babalola, Apostle Babalola. The day God met him and said, if you don't accept the call, I will kill you. He went on an 18 days dry fasting. That is the man we are quoting. We quote him. But for him to take a step with God, he did 18 days. You don't want, God wants to pour you out. You hold yourself. Hi. One day in the revelation, God showed me my path. He said, this is what I'm doing in your life. But you know what? I now saw a lot of hurdles. And I had to ask him, Jesus, what this is I'm seeing before I get there? He said, those are the price you will need to pay to get there. He wants to pour us out. The Bible talking about Jesus. The Bible says he was like a drink offering poured out. His visage was mad. He wants to pour you out. Like a drink offering, he wants to pour you out. He wants to empty everything. And right before the altar here, we empty everything. You are not accurate to bring revival if you are not a poured out vessel. Quit talking like people. Quit trying to talk like them. The capacity that gives you stature to bring revival is when you are poured out. When you sustain prayers. When your consecration is before God is sound. When the prince of this world, when he comes to you, cannot find anything in you. That woman I saw that had smoke all over her body, if she appears here now and he wants to claim those who are for him and is pointing hands, will he be able to have a claim over you? You cannot bring down the powers that control a territory if what they have, what they operate with, is inside your life. When I began to labor for what God showed me, this thing must go. This one. And I was saying, Lord, and it took me time. And I had to fast when I want to fast, and when I don't want to fast, I lost. At a point, I fasted to a point where appetite for food left my mouth. Why? God has shown me things I need to deal with, and if I don't deal with it, I will not step. A drink poured. I went to Cameroon to preach. In their airport, I didn't have yellow fever card, so they trapped me there, asking me questions. And because they thought I was Nigerian, they wanted to bamboozle me. Then airport security had to quickly pick me. They wanted to start querying me. Right as I was sitting with them, answering their question. Yes, I'm a Nigerian. What do you do for a living? I'm a pastor. What do you come for? I came to preach. As I was saying those things, suddenly the anointing was activated over my head. And all of a sudden, God began to speak to me about all of them. Word of knowledge came. Their leader, I started telling him that your daughter is sick. He said, no, that his daughter is not sick. I said, I know who has spoken to me. Call your wife. The audacity of that word of knowledge was so clear that he took his phone and called his wife. His wife said, has he forgotten that a boil came out from his daughter's breast? I said, your daughter is sick. God. And I started speaking by the mouth of God. And guess what? All of them that were querying me now carried my bag for me. The host pastor that came to welcome me at the airport, they saw airport security carrying my bag. He was wondering, what's going on? I was laughing. I said, collect the bag from them. You know why it was? I was a drink poured out. God wanted to release me from there, so word of knowledge was activated. There are only cases you can solve if God can be able to grant us. Oh my God, even the least among us, can be as strong. Hey, I see beyond myself. Oh, Sokate. Mane kuma liza brende sokavela. That's why when the harlot came to my hotel room with little or pant on her, she said, I'm staying in the next door room. When you finish, can you come there? I knew that temptation cannot work. Why? Because I know in whom I believed in. I am bearing an oil. Many of you, your oil have been slain on certain altars. You are not a drink poured out. I closed that door when she walked out, and I knelt down beside my bed. I said, Lord, will you have mercy over me one more time? It's not because of my strength. Have mercy upon me one more time. Men that God can help. I know you have been struggling for long, but I didn't know how to step out. I know you have heard the cry, but you are weak. Can you just step out? Aya. Where you are, can you begin to pray? Can you begin to pray? Sanetobe. Sinakabelate. Aya no sekate balia. I'm sensing a movement in my spirit. There's nothing to say again. Ayalana komre. Ubale sinakane somenate. Can we give witness to the king? Let's just give him witness from our word. You don't know how I see tongues. I see it as a witness from my spirit. Haboletande simana. Aye. Oh. Sanetamiala. Can you hear the cry of the king? Salena kumadia. I will not give you prayer point. I know now God has stirred your heart. You know what to pray. Anemale imakena ana na 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 zanelake ane ane. You need to be a drink poured out. Oh, oh, can the Lord hear you? Can you cry to him and say, Lord, not me, but your will. Not me, not I. Such men must be men that are selfless. Such men are men that will choose to step out and say, Lord, I come. Oh, yeah. Hunger, spiritual hunger. My generation lacks hunger. That's where we are. If there is something God needs to restore, it is hunger. Where you are, can you drop your title? God is not looking for superstars. God is looking for that young boy, Billy, that can step out and move into the grooves of Smith Wigglesworth and say, Lord, do it again. Can God renew your hunger? You can pray here, but can your prayer transit here? It is hunger that will sustain that prayer outside this place. Ayatomenanze Taila Kabebato Kande Somenante Sela Rota Kabela Sombre Sanita Kaibe Sabela Sabela Sanete Tandosi Rakabela Anzetaya Kobeba Zuvale. Can you cry? Let's all be all standing. Can we all be all standing? Lift your two hands and say, Lord, renew my hunger again. That is an acid test to measure those who are alive in the spirit. Hunger for the things of God. My generation has lacked hunger. My generation has lacked hunger. So they cannot hear the cry of the king. The king cries. Oh. Even as you are praying there, can you hear him? Can you hear Jesus saying, oh, oh? Hey, sister, in that your quiet time, when last did you hear, oh? Oh, that's my heart.
I want to give you 2 minutes. Can you